Hey minions, and welcome to Crank It Up. I'm Jim Price, and on this segment of Action Awareness, I'm going to take a look at the Disenchant action of the Tricksters, which lets you destroy an action played on a minion or base. I think Disenchant is the closest we'll ever get to a Kleenex card, a card whose name becomes synonymous with what it does, and is used to describe similar things. You see this in Magic the Gathering with Counterspell, which when I played Magic simply read Counter Target Spell. Other than Force of Will, this may be the closest we come to an actual counterspell. Destroying an action is a useful ability, as there are some very powerful actions in Smash Up played on minions or bases. Some factions such as the Steampunks and Cyborg Apes base their entire strategy on them, so disenchanting can thwart a strong engine quickly, and it's a useful prototype that has been copied by a number of other factions. Bare Necessities, Remove Curse, Super Effective, Lightning Crystal, and Freedom Power, to name a few. I like the card, and I'm often wishing I had a Disenchant when playing against an opponent with powerful actions. But at the same time, I consider Tricksters to be the weakest of the core set, despite their strengths, and I have a specific culprit I'd like to call out, and that's Disenchant. When looking at their faction, you notice that the Tricksters have 2 copies of Disenchant, and it brings up an interesting question. Why? Why 2 copies? Let's take a look at just the core set for a moment. Of the other 7 factions, there are 62 actions because the robots only have 2. Of these actions, only a small subset of them are actually disenchantable, and in that subset, only a select few are worth using the card. Assassination of the Ninjas cannot be disenchanted since it will destroy the minion at the end of the turn before you have a chance to play your disenchant. The only exception is if a minion somehow survives the destruction and you'll have a chance to play that card before it fires again. But those are rare and highly specific situations, so I won't be counting Assassination as a disenchantable card. 3 cards of that subset are Smoke Bomb and the 2 Infiltrates of the Ninjas, which interestingly act similar to disenchants themselves. But they only last 1 turn. I'll actually be talking about Infiltrate next week, so it's rare that you need to disenchant them this turn. Tooth and Claw and Guns could be its own video as well, but the card is so misworded that I'm going to take it out of consideration. Although Overrun only lasts 1 turn, I definitely see the need to disenchant this to get 1 last minion on a base before it breaks, so I will count Overrun. So that brings the final count in the core set to 6. Jam Signal, Upgrade, Wildlife Preserve, Poison, Overrun, and They're Coming to Get You. It's worth noting that your other faction may be the one supplying some of these cards, which may reduce that number even further. Unless you're playing with faction duplicates, which I never suggest doing, this means that 6 out of the 62 core set actions are worth disenchanting, or roughly 10% of those actions. That's a very small number for 2 cards in your deck. In fact, if there was any faction I'd like to use Disenchant against, it's the Tricksters themselves, who have 6 disenchantable actions in their faction. 2 Enshrouding Mists, Pay the Piper, Block the Path, Flame Trap, and Hideout. And some of these are extremely strong, like Block the Path and Enshrouding Mist. The Tricksters have just as many disenchantable actions as the rest of Smash Up combined. I wonder how much better the Tricksters would be if they had a second copy of a different action instead. The repeat actions are supposed to work synergistically with a faction. Let's look at some examples. The Ninjas destroy minions with Seeing Stars. The Aliens disrupt minions by beaming them up or disintegrating them. Wizards draw a lot of cards and play extra minions. Zombies replay their best cards. Enshrouding Mist makes sense because it helps activate the gnome's destruction, but I'm not sure that Disenchant works for their overall strategy. It definitely feels like an outlier among the other examples, and maybe Infiltrate is a second one, but again, I'll talk about that next week. Maybe 2 disenchants were added because Smash Up knew the types of actions it can target would increase significantly over time. After all, Steampunks were included in the very next expansion. But maybe it would have been better to spread this type of ability across several factions rather than to double up on the Tricksters. Imagine what a second Take the Shinies would do and how well it fits with the overall theme of the Tricksters. another Mark of Sleep would really help them as well without being overpowered. Disenchanting is a useful card, and it's an important counterspell in Smash Up, but do the Tricksters really need two? Mathematically, it doesn't seem like they do, and the Tricksters may have lost some strength as a result. That's it for this week. Thanks for listening. Let's shut it down.